If you've ever tried to quit drinking and it felt impossible, there's a very good chance you think something's wrong with you. I'm here to tell you it's not. And I'm going to tell you exactly why quitting alcohol can feel so hard and what that actually means. I have talked to and worked with and helped literally thousands of people on this journey. And probably the single biggest thing they all have in common is they all think it's their fault. They all think that there's something wrong with them. And on some level, that's understandable, right? On some level, it really is understandable that, like, well, if I can't do this, then it must somehow be my fault. Right? If I can't seem to make this change, then there's got to be something wrong with me. And I understand that thinking, but it is just not true. The reality of the situation is that we have human brains. There are ways that human brains work that kind of work against us, just making a sudden, immediate 90-degree turn, right? And this is not just alcohol. This is going to be with so many other things you're going to change. So, what I wanted to talk about today are the three big things, like the things that I see standing in people's way from actually being able to make that change. So, there's really kind of three main things that'll stand in your way. And this stuff encompasses a whole wider range of stuff. But number one is your brain literally rewires itself. We'll talk about it. Number two is habits, these routines that we get into, the things that we do every day. Alcohol becomes so deeply ingrained. And then finally are the thinking patterns, the things that we do because of our thoughts that make such a huge difference, right? So let's start with the brain wiring. Did you know that your brain will actually change shape based on the thoughts that you think, based on the way that I think? That shit scares me, right? So, like, over time, if we weave alcohol into what we do, we will literally change the thoughts we have. Like, the thoughts you have today change the thoughts you have tomorrow. And so if you're like me, I started drinking in college. I started drinking very regularly, and it just became part of my routine, right? And then as time went on, it became a go-to thing for emotions. We'll talk about this in a little bit too. It was for my emotions, for my feeling bad, for feeling sad, for feeling angry, whatever it might be. And so your brain wiring literally changes based on what you do. And alcohol is a huge catalyst for this, right? So if you've tried to quit and it's been harder than you thought, it could be that your brain wiring has changed. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It sure as shit doesn't mean that you're broken. The next place that we like to look for this is habits, right? When I talk about habits, what I'm talking about are these routines, these things we do every day. Like, I used to come home from work, grab a scotch, like, first thing in the door. I mean, honestly, ashamed to admit it, but sometimes I would do that before I even said hello to my wife and kids. I would come in to the kitchen door and I would pour a drink and I was home. And this became a deeply ingrained habit, and I work at home most days now, but I do have an office downtown, and I will go to the office, and I find myself now, years later, I'm more than 8 years alcohol free. Years later, I will still come home, and the very first thing I do is grab a drink. The difference is that drink is a seltzer, right? Or an NA beer. So we get in these habits, right? And this is a huge barrier as well. It's something that's often very much overlooked, right? There are these routines that we fall into, and when you fall into these routines, you get stuck. Right? And again, it is a very normal human thing to be stuck there. One of the ways I like to talk about this is, like, imagine that you've worked at the same place for 20 years, right? And for the first 10 of those years, when you left work every day, you went out to the driveway and you turned right, went out to the driveway and turned right. And you did that for 10 years. And then you moved. Right? Then you moved. And now, in order for you to get home, you have to go to the end of the driveway and turn left. Well, what is going to happen? The first few times, maybe you're really excited and you're turning left because you're like, hey, I'm going home to my new house. But then one of these days you're going to forget and you're not going to be thinking and you're just going to turn right. What the hell is that? That is the power of routine. That is the power of these repeated behaviors that we have over and over and over. You're working against that as well when you're trying to quit drinking. And so again, if you're trying to quit drinking and you're running into this barrier, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means that you need to sort of take this into account into your plan. And then the other one I want to talk about are these thought loops. We get stuck in thinking. So what'll happen is you'll get to that time of the day when you normally drink. Like, maybe for you, it's after work, like it was for me. And you're coming home and you're like, man, maybe I could have some alcohol, right? Maybe I could stop at the liquor store. And then you get in this loop where you go like, oh, I can't do that, but I want to do that. Well, I can't do that, but I want to do that. And it's almost like you're fighting with yourself, right? A lot of my clients talk about it kind of like, in the cartoons, the little angel and devil on your shoulder stuff. That is a very normal human thing. You do this with lots of other things you're trying to change. And so if you find yourself doing this with alcohol, again, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. All it means is that you are a human with a human brain trying to make a change. Right? The reality is struggle in change, it's not weakness, right? We have this idea that somehow struggling with change is weakness. Somehow, if you can't make this change, then there must be something wrong with you. I am here to tell you that that is an old fashioned and unscientific and frankly just dumb idea, right? Struggle is human. Struggle is happening because you have a human brain. It's not because you're weak. It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's not because you're somehow different than everybody else. Struggle is human, and we all struggle and we all work very hard to change. So I don't want you to take away from any quit attempt that you're broken. I don't want you to take away this idea that, like, oh, I can't possibly change my relationship with alcohol. It is 100% possible. I am here, and millions of other people are here of proof of that. You are not broken. And I want you to take one step back, and instead of, every time there's a failed attempt being like, there's more proof that I'm broken, what if instead that is another chance to learn? Like, what if instead that is another opportunity for you to find a way to say, okay, I'm going to move in this direction. That direction didn't work. I'm going to move in this direction. If you have tried to quit drinking and it feels impossible, there is nothing wrong with you. You, I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong here, but you are a human, and a human brain isn't going to be perfect. We're not going to be able to push or will a human brain, right? A human brain adapts to the experiences that it's had. And so in order to make a change, we have to adapt to this new experience. That means there's going to be a period of adaptation. That doesn't mean you're broken. That doesn't mean that something's wrong with you. It just means that you're learning. It means that you're growing. And that is a massively more helpful way to think about it. Hey, did you like that? Did you like that idea? Do you like this way of looking at it? If you do, subscribe to the channel. You'll find out when I post new videos. This is the way I view things, and I want to share it with you. So please subscribe, and I'll see you in a later video.